Alright everybody, hello and welcome back to the Soapbox. I'm Ash, AquaDreams, Malice, any of my 70 different nicknames that I've given myself, and today we're going to essentially do a reflection on January as a month, and how all the stuff I've been working on has been going in that time, just for the air of transparency, and just to kind of keep you guys updated, because some of you guys have been here for years now, so maybe you just want to see what I'm doing as a whole. Maybe you don't care about, oh look, it's the guy who streams Simpsons on Twitch and shouts a lot. I don't shout at all. What am I lying for? Anyways, so this video is going to be me discussing where I'm at personally, and where the three main projects that I'm working on so far in the year are. That is Easy Entertained, streaming, and watching Wolford. So all three projects that I will be delving into, and we'll essentially get a bit more insight as to how I'm feeling about all of them, and how I feel like they're going. So, without any further ado, this is episode 9 of the Soapbox, so let's go ahead and get into this one. So I guess to start the episode, let's talk a bit more about Easy Entertained. Obviously, Easy Entertained has been a channel that's kind of been synonymous with me and working on my mental health. So that kind of was the big driving force as to why I have so much love for it, and why I've pledged so much time into doing it. Because as I've always said, other than streaming, whenever I was making videos and content type stuff, I would always struggle with trying to actually come across as me. Because, suddenly, once you're recording by yourself with no one to joke about, you start going, do I even need a joke, though? Or even if you do joke, it's like this awkward joke where you don't really know if it's landed or not. So it's just gonna yes, I swear this is good. So, an Easy Entertain's a good facet where both myself and Slayer can discuss and review a lot of media, and in some ways, immortalize it. There's a lot of days in a year. No fucking surprise there. But there's a lot of stuff we do in our lives that we often forget. But if I can actually somewhat make a memory of these moments in time, these things I've enjoyed dramatically, it's a nice thing to be able to have, And some of these things are genuinely very funny, like the zombie ass Toilet of the Dead. That video is still one of the favorite things I've done in a long time. That movie is absolutely fucking nuts. So, it's a good way to essentially immortalize and just keep record of it, because my memory's shite, so I'm not remembering half the shit anyways. How was the channel output this month? Well, let's just take a cheeky little peek, a reminder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Five videos this month. A disaster movie watch along, the parody movie it's just bad, I'll be honest. This led into me watching one of my teen favorite movies, Granny of the Dead, which, yeah, it wasn't as good as I remember, but ultimately still enjoyable, still a lot of fun Welsh accents, fun video. Next up was The Thing versus The Other Thing, the original versus remake, where we essentially went, okay, we're going to do a remake versus original type deal, except we're not just going to completely shit on it. Let's actually give a positive spin on it. And to kind of in a slight argument type way, okay, now it's time to essentially go, okay, so even if your remake's bad, you have to find out the best parts of it. But, we got lucky because we had to do The Thing versus The Thing from Another World, which is oh, fuck yeah, boys. Jesus Christ. God. You want us to give good things about that fucking thing? Yeah! We'll do that for nothing. So, that was a fun time. And then we started off the series of our review of Tell Me Everything, the ITVX show, which I would describe as a mixture between Skins and Sex Education. It's that coming of age, but each of them has a secret / coping mechanism that they need to come to terms with to actually be able to move on and develop and figure out who they are. And The one thing that makes me sad about that is I'm happy with how they're turning out. I've been slightly soundtracking. I've been applying music that thematically fits. But one thing I realized is that nobody's fucking heard of the show. And it's on ITV. Like, perhaps... I mean, I'm 90% sure it is supposed to be coming out, like, on an actual... like, on TV soon. So I hope that's when it actually gets fucking witnessed. But, man alive, has... Nobody's heard of this fucking show. And it's really sad to me. Nobody's fucking heard of it. I've been the only one telling people what's been going on. So, and that's my biggest issue. But, like, it's a really fantastic show. The premise starts off, you have this guy called Johnny Murphy, who's the glue to his, like, friends, but his dad's the glue to his family. And he goes out, but he's been struggling, right? He's been mentally struggling. He's been having a really rough time. But he goes out one last night of freedom, but the second he comes back, he sees his dad getting carted away in an ambulance, and his dad has died. Now, obviously, being someone who's dealt with a passing, some of these feelings are pretty similar. Obviously, it had that angle, but you can also sympathize from the fact of you just want Johnny to be okay, because he's not, like, he's not a prick. And this kind of levels out with how slowly but surely throughout watching the episodes, you realize that some of these coping mechanisms and some of their ways of handling things maybe are a bit out of character. And each time you go, okay, the episode's done now, I guess there's nothing to say here, I guess the series is over then, it then like puts in a cliffhanger and you're like, oh, what the fuck? No! What do you mean? We were about ready to move on, but now you've just, like, thrown that in there. Now we're fucking going again, you know? And I suppose ideally, honestly, if any of those videos can get anybody to watch the show, that's all I want, because I think it's pretty important. Because everybody needs those teen coming-of-age movies, or slash series. Like, you're telling me people didn't watch In-Betweeners back in the day and realize that it's okay to be a fucking loser, you know? Like, here are these pricks who think they're the shit, but they're absolute wankers. That's fine. Who didn't learn stuff from sex education? You know? And you need these shows because being a teen's fucking rough. Right? It's fucking hard. There's no guide on what to do, so you have to figure it out yourself. And, you know, you usually make the dumb decisions, you make a dick out yourself, but it's fine. Because ultimately, you're just trying to figure out who you are. So these shows are really important, so that's why it's kind of, I'm proud to be, like, covering it. Because it's so good. But yeah. And I suppose, how has it been going? Well, it's been good, honestly. The videos haven't been doing too well, but I'm not surprised, as the main video that really did take off was just the Terrifier one, but that was like timing to fuck. Like, it came out just after Terrifier 2 came out, and suddenly everybody's like, holy fuck, the clown's fucking sick. But that's fine. I mean, as long as it's still good for my mental health to do these things, and as long as I kind of keep working hard, it'll make me feel good. And I suppose just another way to kind of talk about it, like, frankly, it has been a bit of a struggle the last 2 weeks. I found myself either 2 weeks ago I committed myself to streaming too much, which meant I didn't have the time to edit. And then this week I ended up committing myself to playing too many games. So then the last 2 weekends have been a fucking slog where it's like, well, 40, 50 hours into this project, don't mind me. You know, so it was a bit of a rough time, really, but that's fine. I mean, if it's good, it's good. And I believe that they are good, and they are funny, and they're just interesting content. So, obviously, that's the big shout-out. If you aren't subscribed over at Easy Entertained, go and subscribe to Easy Entertained, because it's like me, except without the speedrunning and the Simpsons. But if you like my personality, you'll like my personality over there. I suppose... Otherwise, I think that's all I intend to say about Easy Entertainment. I think it's been it's been a month of working on new stuff and trying out different ideas, which are important. Because I feel like a channel can't survive on just one set of videos. I feel like you need to start figuring out, like, different concepts to keep yourself sane. Otherwise, it's like, well, now time to do review number 735 in the same format that you always do them in, like, you got to start playing around with different ideas. Because, maybe your current idea just isn't the best way to the best way to talk about something. So, I say that doing a very outdated and terrible format for this. But shut your mouth. I suppose let's go on to the next topic, which is me and my streaming. It's been a genuinely solid month for streaming, I will argue. I don't specifically have the figures as to how much I've streamed this month, but considering in this last video I was essentially saying I would like to be able to keep streaming, but I honestly can't argue how much I will be able to do. And if we just take the stats from January, all of the month, let's get all the way to the 1st. We streamed for 50 hours. So, yeah, you know what? I think that's a job well done. We'll take that. Obviously, it has been a bit more of a struggle with, I suppose we also managed to hit the Twitch payout, which was fun. Because I could have done with it this month, I'll be honest. Would have been a bit nicer. But, we still hit it. And that means that, there were a bunch of expenses over Christmas that weren't covered. So it's going to be nice to at least trickle down a bit of income. And I do appreciate anybody who has given me any money over the past God knows how long, as it's finally paid on out. And it's finally getting into my pocket. And not in Twitch's hefty bank account. So thank you very much. And I suppose in terms of how have the streams been? The streams have been, I don't want to say hit or miss, because there's been a lot more good streams than there have been bad streams. But I think my biggest issue with streaming at the minute is, it's once again, the keyword is balance. Because I've been having such a difficult time actually figuring out how to do everything to the best of my ability. Because it's like, I've essentially adopted an every other day schedule at this point, which is actually quite consistent. But the main issue is, what if I'm tired that day? Do I still stream and have a shit stream, or do I give it a break and then I go, nah, I'm still feeling tired, there's not enough time, I have to do other things. At that point, do I go, nah, fuck this? Like, it's always been a balancing act with me, because fundamentally there's only so much energy I can devote to something. And, it has kind of shown up at points, but it's also been a very good month of streaming for me. I think one of the biggest issues with the speedrunning aspect is that some days you just don't feel like playing, but you want to play because you want to have a fun stream. But sometimes your brain just goes, yeah, but you're really feeling it though, and that's not really something you don't really want to be outputting that. I suppose in terms of streaming content, I've thought now, despite doing 3 fairly hefty, intense projects, my brain went, yeah, but what if we kickstart the AquaDreams channel again? What if we just make some stream highlights? I was going to turn the BDSM quiz into a video. I was going to put some music to it, and I was going to make it a bit of fun and do some edits. And I was like, do I decide that this is a thing that I want to do? And honestly, anybody wants to help me out? Anybody wants to piece together some of my stream content into a video? That would be lovely. Obviously, it's lovely, unpaid, and shit. But, if it helps, it helps. And if anybody wants to do that, sure. I've thought about it. I haven't really had the time at this point to get around to it, but we'll see. I mean, if it's floating in around in my brain at this point, nowadays, I usually end up doing it. So I'm considering it. There's been a lot of fun streams this month. So you never know. We'll see. I think it's more of the same, but it's the idea that obviously the balance has been slightly off, and I haven't really been able to do as much as I would have wanted to. But obviously I'm still happy with everybody coming in. Everybody's being super nice and generous to me, and just being there, just chatting with me. Because I realize that that's a facet of interaction that you just don't get otherwise. You know, where am I getting you guys chatting shit? Where am I learning about the stuff you're getting up to? Like, I didn't realize when I was really burnt out on streaming, I just kind of took this for granted. I'm like, God, why do I fucking listen to the... It's never that bad, but you know, it's kind of like, there's a level of interaction that's just fun, you know? Like, I'm ultimately playing a game where what happens doesn't matter, but you guys are still watching and still chatting shit, so it's been fun. Really has. Still happy with the streaming, still happy with Easy Entertained, and I suppose finally, the Watching Wolford podcast. The podcast, I don't know if I'd started at the time of the last video. Watching Wolford is a weekly EastEnders podcast, and myself and Piggy go ahead and we chat some shit. We pretty much chronologically review the week of EastEnders and what it means, what kind of stuff. And honestly, if you are a soap fan, there's a lot of fun with it. It's a very frank, it's a very honest discussion of EastEnders. And you have me, who's like fucking EastEnders scholar, been watching it for at least 5 years by myself. That doesn't change any of the like years of EastEnders I have watched or all my other soap knowledge. For a second, I thought it was going to get cancelled, as I quickly realised that doing everything and taking rigorous notes on the episodes was a little bit difficult. But Piggy stepped on in and said, "Don't worry, mate, I got you." I went, "Fuck, cheers, mate. That's banging." But yeah, and that's been a lot of fun as well. I think it would have been sad had it have been killed, but I'm pretty happy that it hasn't been, because it's another facet. All right, I'm a soap watcher, I'm a soap enjoyer. I get to chat shit about it on a weekly basis, and for some reason it gets some views. So, no, we thrive, we having fun. So, I'd rate everything just generally being a big plus. Obviously it's not been easy. Like, it's been pretty hard, I won't lie. But ultimately, I'm still feeling good mentally, and I'm still having a lot of fun. But I think once everything gets on top of me, that's where things start to struggle, because it's not the best, like, because then you start to spend less time chatting. Like let's say I'm working on videos, I spend less time streaming, so I'm not chatting to you guys and getting an outlet. Or I'm editing too much, so I'm not chatting to Slater, so it then, you know, we just make decisions without actually discussing each other, and I get all internalisy and not mention shit. Or even Piggy, where I didn't even say, I was just like, "Yo, Piggy, can you take notes? Otherwise, podcast is done." Rather than actually going, "Yo, Piggy, can we discuss this?" So, it's truly, and it was the theme of the last video. It's all about balance, because frankly, I still do 3 days of leather work a week. That doesn't go away. It's like that's bloody easy work either. So it's all about finding ways to make sure I can do things to the best of my abilities. And I think January's been an overall success. I probably only had about 3 or 4 bad mental health days. And considering I spent, fucking the bulk of last year struggling to function, we all take that. We will take that, honestly. And, you know, there's no real slipping back into any sort of depression type deal. I'm still doing just fine. And that's something I'm still very proud of. So I guess thank you all for stepping in. You're all doing your bit. You're keeping old Papa Ashens. You're keeping him all in good nick. Keeping him sane by appearing and chatting and just, you know, just being there. Because all of these outlets have been a great help and have been a lot of fun. So I guess the main outcome is this month has been about balance and trying to figure out a way to do everything, but without having it be too much. Yeah. So I suppose before we end the video, let's first make a vague poll. Do we want stream content on this channel again? If you are watching at this point, you know, because I'm sure I can figure something out. I'm sure there can be some facet of this where I actually kind of just make some sort of fun videos out of it, because we have a lot of fun there. We have a lot of fun on Twitch chat. So, you know, we'll see. Second, I guess, go over to all of the channels, Easily Entertained, Watching Wolford, and the Twitch channel. You know, if you want to see what I'm getting up to, if I've been rather slow with the streaming output, just imagine that there's likely a video coming on Easily Entertained, or on the weekend there's the EastEnders podcast. So, you know, I guess thank you for stopping by. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making January a successful month. And I suppose that was the episode of the Soapbox for today. If you think that this is a good idea, if you like these sorts of monthly updates, fucking message me about it. Talk to me about it. Go on. It's not like I am the bloody dictator telling you you must do this. We are a community. And at this point, I finally realize how important that is. So, you know, do what you can. And thank you for being here. I've been Ash. This has been my Soapbox. And join me next time. Will it be in a month when February's over? Probably.